Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Kyle from the TF Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Power Rangers Season 3 Shogun Megazord. Now, it's worth noting before I start this review that each of these Zords does come with their own individual weapons. They're just little small weapons that are molded in red plastic. Unfortunately, I don't have those weapons. I am trying to acquire them, but at the time of this review, I do not have them. I just have the basic Megazord itself. I'd also like to note that this is the American release. Even though the Pink Ranger is white, it has been custom painted, and it was originally at one point pink. So this is in fact the American release, just been touched up and repainted. Now this Megazord is really unique in that each Zord's alternate mode, if you want to call it that, is in fact humanoid, kind of a mini Megazord itself. And of course we have the core team kind of lifted from the Ninja Megazord. We've got the blue, yellow, red, black, and of course the white/pink. Now this one in the show, the Zord was white, but the toy was pink. And that was kind of a unique thing for the American release. And we can talk about that a little bit more when we do go into each individual Zord. But in the show, when the Falcon Zord was being held hostage by Zed and Rita, the White Ranger and the Pink Ranger did kind of co-pilot this Zord, which is kind of cool. Now, this Megazord is comprised of 3 basic figures. We have the chest, the legs, and the arms. And the arms and the legs are identical, with the exception of the head sculpt, and a few little details here and there. And let's start from left to right, starting with the blue Zord, who is in fact the wolf, piloted by Billy. Now the wolf Zord is a great looking sculpt. I really like the head sculpt. It's not gonna pass the Ninja Wolf Zord as my favorite Megazord, but it is a close second. On the chest it's got the square chrome logo, and of course has the Power Ranger logo on the arms. For articulation, the arm Megazords don't have too much, but you can move their arms forward and back, and they can kind of flap their wings a little bit. Now to transform him into his arm mode, all we really need to do is fold his arms up, and then press him down, and then take his feet, and his feet will just fold back like that, and there we have one arm. This is in fact his left arm. And we can just put that down from now. Looking at the pink/white Zord, this is by far the most talked about Zord in this whole entire set. Because in the show it was white, and it was piloted by the Kaku Ranger, White Ranger. But because they were still using Zoo Ranger, obviously they needed to use the Pink Ranger to pilot it most of the time. And at the time, they were still sharing the same sculpt, the same molds, and the same paint, same factories almost, as the Japanese toys. They would not have worked out with Kimberly being the Pink Ranger. So what they did was they decided to release this toy in pink plastic, just pure pink plastic, disregarding the show entirely, just so that kids would know that this Zord belonged to the Pink Ranger, even though it only did kind of half the time. And that was really an interesting choice. Now, whoever painted this, the person I bought this from, I think they did a pretty nice job, with the exception of right there. They're kind of sloppy. But apart from that, it's solid. Again, the wings flap, which is very, very similar to her pose in the show, which is awesome. And it does share the same transformation as the Blue Ranger. All you need to do is fold the arms up, push them down, fold the feet up, and there we have the right arm. Now we're moving on to the legs, and we have the Frog and the Bear Zord. The Frog Zord looks really scary, and it has this really scary head sculpt that looks a lot like the Goombas from the Super Mario live-action movie that came out, God knows when. That's what this looks like to me, and I cannot unsee it whatsoever. For the articulation, the arms can move 360, and the hands can rotate, well, the entire arm can rotate left and right. Now, to get this into feet mode, what you want to do is you want to fold the back, flip the arms up, close it like that, and then we want to take the legs, and legs just lift up, and they do snap into place. And that's all you need for that leg. Moving on to the Bear Zord. For some reason, the head sculpt on this Zord reminds me a lot of the sexual harassment panda from South Park. There's something about these leg Zords that just remind me of other things. It's identical to the Frog Zord. Arms can move. It looks real nice from back. And now to transform it, basically it's identical to the Frog. Arms fold up. Legs fold up. And there you go. And the one thing I really like about all these Zords are the chrome arms. I think they look real snazzy. Last but not least, we have the Ape Zord, the main Zord. This guy forms the chest. And he's also got the most unique of any of these Zords in that, well, it looks like it's made of a bunch of roofs. And he's got a nice little circle plate. And he also is where you store the head in his Shogun mode form. In terms of articulation, again, it's the same as all of the other ones. The arms can move, rotate 360 degrees, and the entire arms do swivel. Now to get him into his chest mode, it's a little different. First thing we want to do is fold his back place back, which is identical to the legs. We can take the head out and just put that to the side for now. Then we want to fold the arms up, lock that into place. Then we want to take his little crotch plate piece, and that just lifts up and folds up, and we have the S for probably Shogun, even though it's not show accurate. Just want to lift these up, lift this up, and usually it does require a little bit of fiddling, but there we go. And now we're ready to form Megazord mode. So, to form Megazord mode, you'll notice I flipped out these little panels right here, these little pegs. All you need to do is just take them, and they sit on just like that. These clips plug into these two holes on the shoulder, like that, and then we can put the arms in. Last but not least, we just need to get the head. This little blue plate just folds out, sits right on top, and it does kind of just compress, and there we have the Shogun Megazord. And I absolutely love this Megazord. It is a little odd, since they did go for that ancient look, just being compared to the Ninja Megazord, which was given a very futuristic, very sleek look. This is the total opposite, and I think that's part of the charm of this Megazord, in that it has that real aged, very ancient look. Now for articulation, it's just like every other Megazord. It is literally a brick with rotating arms. Again, do the same, woo, and there it goes. Now it does come with the flame sword right here, and in the show, and I'm not sure why the toy never represented that. Instead they used the Power Ranger Thunderbolts, but in the show you actually had emblems of this fish guy right here on each arm, and it would kind of light up, and it would form this, and the sword would fly out, and then it would peg into the arm, and it would be super badass. I wish they did that on this toy. They never did. And my sword is a little bit broken. You'll notice the handle is broken. Goes out to about right here. And I do have the piece, I just need to glue it on. But for the sake of the review, it does hold into place just fine. Well, it did. At one point. Well, I guess it's not pegging in for whatever reason, but it would just hold the sword like that, and it would swipe it. And the cool thing about Kaku Ranger, and I didn't watch Kaku Ranger, but I found this out later, is that the sword that the Megazord would hold would shrink down, and the Rangers would actually use it. And I think this would have made for an awesome toy. As an American kid, almost as good as Saba, in my opinion. To have the flame sword, just to fling it around with the flaming blade, I would have loved that. Anyway, the blade would just peg in, and that would be that. For the time being, of course, this is Power Rangers, and Power Rangers and their core Megazord is never strong enough. So you need more power. So whenever things would get, kind of sticky, they would call upon the Falcon Zord. And the Falcon Zord is when shit would get real, for lack of a better word. And it's also why I like the Falcon Zord so much, that it forms with multiple Megazords. Now again, I'm going to do a separate Megazord review talking about the Falcon Zord, everything Falcon Zord related. But just for this review, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the transformation. So what it would do is the arms would pop off, put those down, the Falcon Zord would fly down. Let's get his wings kind of sorted out and oriented. His feet, I mean, sorry, I don't know, it's late and I apologize. Anyway, you would see there's 4 ports, there's 4 pegs right there. 4 pegs right there. And on the Falcon Zord, there are 4 ports, so it would just peg into place. Should probably remove the head. Peg in, and it would just click into place like that. And it's not clicking into place. There we go. And then the arms would come back, and there's a special little slot right there. And you would just peg the arms back in. And now, the Shogun Megazord has gigantic wings sticking out of its chest. And it would use that as a power-up, and then of course it would shoot out of its chest and kill whatever enemies it had, and that was that. And the show would end, and you would want to buy all the toys. And that's Power Rangers, basically. Now, the Shogun Megazord is one of my favorite Megazords of all time. I do like to keep it in this transformation when I have it stored on shelf, even though I do prefer the look of the Falcon Zord on the Ninja Megazord, which I have sitting over here. But that takes up so much shelf space, and this doesn't really take up that much shelf space at all. So I do keep it displayed like this, and with the flame sword. There we go. Now it wants... well, it doesn't want to hold right now, but I got it at one point. You don't have to believe me, but I did. And yeah, so that does it for the Ninja Megazord. Again, one of my favorite Megazords. I think if you are an MMPR fan, this is, again, one of the must-haves. Alongside the original Megazord, alongside the Ninja Megazord, alongside the Thunder Megazord. This is just as important as all those. And it's a great, unique, fun toy. It's probably one of the more unique of any of the Megazords. So for that alone, I think it's worth having. Anyway, that does it for this review, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. I've got a ton more Power Ranger reviews in the works, so please stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe, and I will be happy to bring them all to you in a timely manner. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.